Edge of Eternities finds itself in a very precarious position, being sandwiched between Final Fantasy and Spider-Man. But this doesn't mean that Edge of Eternities doesn't have a lot to offer. In today's video, we are going to discuss 3 of these amazing Magic cards that have insane playing potential. Are you one of those players that underestimated Edge of Eternities? Because I know I was. I looked at that upcoming set and saw some of the art and I wasn't really drawn to it. But as we got closer to release, we saw there was a lot more potential with this set than many people may have thought was even possible from Wizards of the Coast. Welcome back everyone, and MTG Moxman here. I want to thank you again for hanging out today for another video with me. It's insane to think that people are already looking forward to Spider-Man without truly tapping into the potential that is Edge of Eternities. Now this is good for you, the player. This is amazing. This gives you opportunity. This gives you a chance to get in on the ground floor with many cards that players are going to ignore as they move forward. Yes, there'll be players buying individual cards, looking at things and saying, I need this for my deck or I need that. But that doesn't mean that every card gets looked at the same way. Now, there are 3 cards I lined up for today's video that I've seen the insane potential of these cards. They have blown my mind in standard play. I've seen them in Commander, and I can only imagine what players can do as we go forward and as time passes. With every new expansion of a set, we get new ideas and new potential cards, but these cards look like they are going to have longer staying power than many of the other potentials. So let's take a look at these cards together, and you'll let me know in the comments section at the end of this video if I've missed any viable, amazing cards from Edge of Eternities that you think should have been on the list. Now, let's start out today and take a look at Tezzeret, the Cruel Captain. Now, a lot of people, I admit, I thought this guy was amazing at the onset, but then I couldn't really make him work when I tried to play inside of Arena. And then I saw other people lining up and making this guy execute me time and time again. He truly is a Cruel Captain. Now, when we look at the Cruel Captain as a 3 casting cost generic, Planeswalker, that's insane unto itself. He is low casting cost, he's easy to get out, and he comes out with 4 loyalty. Now, it says whenever you play an artifact you control enters, well, you get to put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret, so he gets bigger. Now, that being said, of course, you get to untap a target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, though, you get a +1/+1 counter. That's his 0 ability. His -3, of course, is being a tutor. You get to search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. This allows for a lot of Moxen to be looked for inside of Commander. And of course, this is the ultimate, the emblem. When you get this emblem at the beginning of your combat on your turn, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. Now that alone, you guys can look at this and say that has massive potential, right? Like, it's an amazing card. But let's not forget what else can happen with him. Because as a combo piece, he can be used for things like Mana Vault, Soul Ring. You can go in there for Lion's Eye Diamond to accelerate what you want to do inside your Commander deck. If you're looking at this card as a utility for hate pieces, 1-cost artifacts such as the Pithing Needle or the Soul Guide Lantern or Tormod's Crypt can be a great threat mechanism for many players. And of course, consistency. He's going to let you get what you need to get to make your deck synergize, and that's amazing. Now, his loyalty generation, I've seen this happen firsthand inside of Standard. When this guy gets going and he's not killed off, he can start multiplying these things, because if you're playing an artifact deck that's low or quick and you can get a lot of draw potential, he is going to just nuke you, okay? Because he's able to go in and get things, you can go after all kinds of mana rocks. You can get card draw potential because he's tutoring for things. This is an underrated ability that you don't hear a lot of people talking about. And then, of course, when you get to that end ability, when you get to seeing what the ultimate is going to be, it can just be insane. Now, I've seen this card mainly played right now in Commander and in Standard, but I know he's played in Modern with Hammer Time. I think Vintage and Legacy, he has that Mystic Forge combo. And then, of course, in Vintage, he also has the Paradoxal Outcome, right? And it's insane to see it, because as a colorless Planeswalker, being able to untap artifacts and tutor for combo pieces, like Time Vault and stuff, just makes him insane, okay? Because you can go for things you wouldn't think are possible. It's just nutty to think of the potential of the card. So what's happening with this card and the sales volumes, though, is a little bit different, okay? Most people think the card would kind of calm down. There's not a lot of action. It hasn't been in any of my top 10 videos, and we haven't really been discussing this card since its release. But the funny thing is he is consistently selling copies. This guy is still selling 50, 60 copies a week, even as the price has been falling. And you can see here where I've taken the screenshot from TCG Player. We have tons of sales, and this is just the base version. We're not talking about the pre-release version or, of course, the borderless fancy one, right? Which, again, all have sales as well. People aren't talking about it, but he is making waves, and he has the potential as a colorless to fit into a lot more decks in the long run as a set release piece, right? When you look at this coming from a general view of Standard, yeah, he'll have limited play and he'll be awesome and amazing. But the longer term life of a card like Tezzeret is almost assured because he's colorless. Like many other artifacts, they find homes for years just because you can put it basically anywhere. Look for this card to be totally broken later on, and it's just one of those things you want to focus in on. Now, of course, I also want to remind you, I think I said Time Vault was like a 2 casting cost, and it is. So I think you couldn't cast him right away, but that's not the point. I'll skip by that one and pretend I didn't. My brain didn't think of that off the top. Now, for our next card, we've got to talk about the Quantum Riddler. On pre-order, this card was around $55. It dropped really quickly, recovered a bit, and now it's meandering around the $24 to $25 mark. And that's a pretty expensive price, don't get me wrong, for Standard play. But the long life of this card and what it's able to do for decks is kind of guaranteeing that this card's going to be around for a while. Now, the Quantum Riddler is a 5 casting cost 4/6 mythic that's a creature Sphinx with flying. When it enters, you draw a card. Kind of nice, okay? Now, as long as you have one or fewer cards in hand, if you would draw one or more cards, you draw that many cards plus one instead. And this card does have warp. You can see where I'm starting to go with this, right? Because when we look at the warp ability, it allows you to pay the reduced mana cost to cast the card, and after it enters the battlefield, it exiles itself instead of going to the graveyard, which means you can avoid it being taken out of the game entirely, and you can play this card later on. You can get in early, so the 2 blue is going to give you a card right away, and you can cast it later on for its full mana cost when you actually need it. Now, the bonus card draw is something you cannot understate in blue. You need to have, and of course, mixing this with other decks is even better. Card advantage is always going to get you ahead of the game, and you can't forget things like blink effects or bounce effects, okay? Because the ability to recast itself with a blink effect or ephemerate, stuff like that, is going to make this huge on the battlefield. It's going to make you get lots of trigger abilities off. Now, also, Doomsday combos and stuff are amazing. And of course, the value of this card is just understated at this point. Even at its price point, you're looking at a card that gives you so much potential as well as a high-level blocker mid-game that you just can't pass these things up when they come along. If you don't own this type of card yet, I can understand it's still expensive, but it is something to look at, because as we look at the new sets and as new things come along, like from Final Fantasy, amazing cards, and Spiderman, great stuff coming up, we're going to see a little bit of a crush in on what we have with Edge of Eternities, and that means cards like this may actually have a dip in price in the near future just because there's so many products out there, and that's the time to grab a card like this. But the sales are consistent. Like we've discussed before, you're going to see a lot of sales with this card right now, and it is moving at a pretty brisk pace daily, so you can't, say, oh, it's not going to do well. It already is doing well. You're just hoping it dips a little bit further to give you a better advantage, because getting 4 of them could be expensive for Standard. It's an awesome deck to play, but at the same time, in Commander, card draw is going to be important, so it's a great one to look at. Now let's look at the last card, and this one's not expensive, but it's definitely a card you do not want to ignore, and this is the Arch Enemy's Charm. This one is something I just can't believe how many times this thing has messed me up in Standard, and right now, at its price point of around $1.25, this is a very affordable card that you can get from Edge of Eternities, and don't forget, it has that cool borderless art, okay? I gave the borderless one here, the alternate one here. Now, as a 3 black casting spell, it is at instant speed. You can play this at the end of an opponent's turn and do all kinds of crazy things. You see, this thing has the choose one effect. You can exile a target creature or planeswalker. Multiple options is always amazing. Returning 1 or 2 target creature cards and or planeswalker cards from your graveyard means for 3 mana, you could regenerate your hand. Things that the opponent has cleared from the battlefield are now coming back to help you out. And then, of course, you also have put the 2 +1/+1 counters on a target creature you control, and it gains lifelink. That could allow you to win a combat turn, or it can allow you to win the game if the opponent thinks they're going to survive, but those extra +2/+1/+1 counters might just mess somebody up. And at the price point of the card and where we've seen the action in Standard, this is a card you really can't ignore, okay? Its ability and its multiple choose one effects allow you to have all kinds of options. And options in deck construction are what you are most actively looking for. This thing is going to be found in things like Reanimator. It's going to be in control decks, aggressive mid-range decks, and of course the Aristocrats decks. You can see the versatility and the strategic use of a card like this. Flexibility, combat tricks, and value play mode are just things you can't ignore with a card like this. And I've seen it played so many times against me that I had to pick up 4 for myself just because I looked at it and said, this is a card that I can see having future value in Standard play for the next few years. Its abilities are just understated, and its price tag is at a primo price point. Even a fancy alternate version I just shared with you is like $2.50. 4 of them for $10, and that thing can change your deck around. Love this stuff. So these are the cards I wanted to share with you. 3 insane cards with great potential further into the game. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you stayed around till the end here, hanged out with the Moxman, and had an excellent time while you were here. But did I miss any cards you'd like to see on the list? I know the Ice Tail Explorer and stuff. You might have thought some of those cards as well, but we've already talked about some of those, and these are ones I think people are kind of ignoring a little bit off to the side. They're not taking a mainstay, but they are definitely drawing attention in active play. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for stopping by my channel, and I'll be back tomorrow, of course, with another video. A big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Thanks again for being there and supporting each and every day. Now, whether you're a patron, a YouTube membership member, you have a first-hand take in what goes on with this channel, because without you, nothing here would exist. It's because of those people stopping by and helping out. It's amazing. And of course, to all the regular viewers of my channel, thank you for watching every day, giving thumbs up and supporting. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Welcome back. We're here. We're at the Ramble Jamble. You made it to the end of the video. 3 insane cards you should buy. I love that stuff. These cards are amazing. Each of these cards has just destroyed me at some point or another, and I've seen them enough times now that I can't ignore them. I gotta talk about them. I gotta let you guys know what's happening out there. Thanks again for stopping by. Thanks for being here. This Ramble Jamble is brought to you by the letter N for Necronomicon, page 164. Soul Transference. Because I lost 3 matches in a row. I want to change my soul around and defeat that guy. I'm looking at you, Chester. Guys, have a great one. Ramble Jamble.